Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bourbon Bites Whiskey Reviews with a Gaming Twist. I am here with my friend Aaron, the neck pour on Instagram. We met through our local whiskey group. He's been on the channel a couple times before.
First time actually in person.
Yeah, first time in person, but
Yeah.
we're pretty close, not with like 45 minutes from each other. I'm glad for him to invite me over and to participate in this amazing flight. So you did this for our local whiskey group last night. For April Fools, because it's kind of the theme. It's like these all have an interesting twist to them. So I think we're gonna see if I can figure them out. I don't know.
It's not necessarily to figure it out, but I think it's just kind of it's gonna be a bit of an educational tasting for you, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And for those of you watching along, you may be more familiar with these than I am. Now, there's going to be a semi-blind flight, so as we go through them, I assume you're going to tell us what the distillery is.
Okay.
So, and most of these I'm like somewhat familiar with. Some of them I'm like, very limited experience, but it should still be fun though. So, anything you want to say beforehand, like to set me up, get me in the mindset for these?
I mean, like I said, this is more educational than anything. It was for me as well. Like this is it's a April Fool's with like in a very nerdy sense.
Okay.
So yeah.
So there's no like malort or like nothing like nasty in here.
This is actually it's all Fireball, and you have to find the screwball within the Fireball.
We'll see. Maybe I'd be pretty good at that, honestly. I don't want to admit that, but I would be. Cool. So where are we starting with?
So we're starting with Cardhu.
Okay.
So Cardhu, give you while you nose and taste that. Let me give you a little bit of a history lesson. It's a Speyside whiskey. This is the basic 12-year-old 40%. The Cardhu, it's like was founded in about like 1824, I believe. It's actually one of the first distilleries to have a female master distiller, actually.
Oh, cool. What's her name? I don't want to put you on the spot, sorry.
I do have that up. It was Helen Cumming.
Okay.
So, but anyways, they, during the 80s, just like with, bourbon and Scotch, like, saw a huge decline.
Right.
And,
everyone was drinking vodka.
Nobody was drinking whiskey at the time. A lot of distilleries shut down. A lot of them just kind of like slowed down production. Cardhu was one of them. But then in the 90s, they kind of started seeing a bit of a rebound. And during that time, they essentially ran out of stock. They were running out of stock. And so rather than putting the 12-year-old on hold, because it was doing so well, especially in Spain specifically, they decided to just alter change it from single malt to sorry.
No, you're good.
Sorry, to
he's cheating a little bit.
Yes.
Pure malt.
Yeah,
okay.
From single malt to pure malt.
I've never heard that phrase before.
The thing is, basically what that means is that they started blending in another distillery to make up for that lack of stock. So
interesting.
And so they got into a lot of trouble with the SWA, the Scotch Whisky Association, for deceptive marketing.
So did they advertise as like?
No, they basically just quietly they kept the bottle. So this is what we're drinking right now. It's
I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
By the way, hey Patrick, good to see you. So I think that should be in focus.
So what we're drinking right now is an illegal whiskey. This is from 2003. They basically kept the bottle design, the label almost exactly the same. They just changed it from single malt to pure malt. And didn't really make a big deal out of it.
Did they know what they were doing was
illegal?
They
didn't.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't illegal, but like they knew what they were doing was deceptive, and basically because of that, you won't see pure malt being used in Scotch anymore.
I was like, is it a legally defined term or no? No, it's just like their own made up term that was just like
pure malt is used in like other whiskeys and stuff, but like single malt is like a very defined term that it's one distillery, all malt. Pure malt is just basically saying that's a malt.
Gotcha.
And so because of that, because of this bottle specifically, the SWA, essentially banned the use of the word pure malt. They got rid of vatted malt. They basically, if it's a malt from like multiple distilleries, It's a blended malt.
Blended. Okay.
And so like you have to have blend on the bottle.
Gotcha. So when did you say this was released?
2003.
2003.
Yeah. I don't know. Have you had a sip of it yet? Or
no, not yet. Let's go for it. It's different.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't say what's quite different about it. It's like not molasses-y, but there's like some kind of it's like a darker, richer note. That's
a little
like
bit, yeah. I get like kind of like almost like strawberry rhubarb, almost like some apples.
So you're picking up on the fruitiness. I'm picking up on like the dark. There's like a dark.
Oh, really?
Maybe it's just the maltiness of it.
Yeah.
The pure maltiness of it. I see Donnie's here. Donnie, good to see you. I know people are coming in a bit late. I haven't done these Saturday streams in a while, so appreciate y'all being there. We're doing another one next Saturday as well. Brandon's coming over. We are doing the new Thomas S. Moore's. There's 4 different new ones. So same time next Saturday. So mark your calendars. if you guys have a calendar in my streams. I mean, I don't have a calendar in my streams, but good to see you guys. Thanks y'all for tuning in. That's good. I think now pricing, like what did they have? I mean, I know you paid after the fact, but like at the time.
At the time, and I don't know what the price at the time was. Probably about the same as the 12-year-old was, so probably would have been,
Gotcha. So it wasn't like a special release.
No, it was just essentially them, kind of deceptively like trying to make up for that demand, rather than like doing like what Glendronach did when they relaunched in like 2011, where they didn't have 12-year-old stock to release 12-year-old. They just put older
stuff, right? Yeah. Are they still doing that? Because I keep hearing of like, because like the new ones, I've heard that there's like some older stuff. Like the 24 year is actually 27 year.
It's only the 21-year-old.
Okay.
Yeah. So just for the 21-year-old, because everything else is like they're up to date now. Right now, this year is the last year of the 21-year having older stock. If you look at basically the time when the distillery is closed. So I believe that this year the 21-year is actually a 27-year whiskey.
Wow, that's crazy.
And then next year,
America or US would never. They would definitely put that all over the bottle.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of Glendronach, the new Cask series, I think it's called Cask Series 19. I'm actually having a rep from Glendronach join me at the end of this month for that one. Should be a lot of fun. I had her on last year when they had the batch 18. Those are the ones that are like 93. I think this year they're all 94s.
Yeah.
But I'm not worthy. I don't know why they thought I was worthy to do this stream, but it should be a lot of fun. The Amber, who's joining me, is really a big fan of these, so I'm excited to have her back on. So, yeah.
I have to say, like with this one, like out of all these, this was the most surprising for me personally, because I, going into this, I thought that the bottle had an interesting story and kind of like interesting twist to it. And I expected, it's a blend, it's 40%, all this stuff is like it's probably going to be absolute shit.
Right?
But
no,
because I've always heard like pretty mediocre things about Cardhu as a whole, and I was very surprised, pleasantly surprised with this.
Yeah, best illegal whiskey I've had. I mean, the only other one I've had was the Crown Royal Bourbon Mash. Remember when that was a thing? They made one called Bourbon Mash because they like used I think it was a bourbon mash bill they used for it, but it's still Canadian.
Oh.
And the TTP or not TTP, whatever.
Yeah.
The alcohol board in the US was not happy about them using the word bourbon, and they're like, you got to remove that. So for a while they put stickers on it that just said, what did they say? Those of you in the channel, I don't forget what they covered it up with. It was just like Blender's Mash. That's what it was.
Mash.
They called it Blender's Mash instead of Bourbon Mash.
Oh, that's great.
That's the only illegal whiskey I've had before that I know of. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've had some moonshine too. Let's be real. So.
All right. So should we go to Compass Box then?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. We got actually 2 Compass Boxes here.
Okay.
There's A and B. We can taste these simultaneously.
Okay. So I am a Compass Box fan. I haven't had too much of it. I've had the No Names. We did the flight here last time we were here. Y'all know I'm a big fan of the Orchard House, whatever that one is. I'm a fan of that one. It's just like
You did a Compass Box stream too, didn't you?
Yeah, I did like the Smoke or Peat Monster, the Spaniard, Story of the Spaniard. More of their like core lineup I've done, but some of their like more exclusive ones I haven't had, other than here. Yeah, honestly. Ooh, I do like the nose on that one though. So you're not going to tell me anything about this until...
So, I can start. I just,
I didn't know if this was a secret or not. Like I'm supposed to be figuring it out.
No, there's nothing to necessarily figure out here.
Okay.
Just, feel free to taste it. But, so Compass Box, they started in 2000. I mean, they've kind of like always do like really interesting things. Like, they're honestly like a number of their releases that I could have used for this. Like, they have, stuff like the 3-year-old deluxe where they have, it's like a 30-year-old whiskey and they have like, 2% of a 3-year-old. So it's like technically a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have like
that was one like, didn't they have like a UV light or kid held under a black light?
No. I think you're thinking.
What am I thinking of? What was that?
I think that was like a whiskey exchange.
Okay. I thought that was a cool idea.
Yeah. They also have like done, like a release, Stranger and Stranger, that was technically not even whiskey. That was, had like a little bit of like 1-year-old spirit in there.
Oh, really?
So like it completely disqualified it to be a whiskey. Their first release was Hedonism, which was an all.
I don't know if I've had that one. I've heard of it, but
it's fantastic. But that's an all grain blend, a blended grain. It was like one of the first ones to do just, there was no malt in there. It's just all grain. And then, so in 2005, they launched. Here, do you want to try it?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm sorry. I noticed the quality like dropped. I don't know.
Oh,
it's closed down on my stuff. So, but it's as long as if y'all can hear us, that's good. That's all that matters, really. What's up, Dungeons and Drams? Bill is here. If y'all don't know, I do a game with them every Monday night at 6:30 Pacific time, 9:30 Eastern. We're on episode 4 coming up this Monday. Are you a Dungeons and Dragons fan?
I am.
You are. See, I'm new to it, so I'm learning.
I played a little bit. I'm not like super experienced at it, but
I'm learning. This first time playing, but Bill's a great dungeon master, so y'all gotta tune into that. Like I said, every Monday. It's a lot of fun. All right, so I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah. So in 2005, Compass Box, they launched Spice Tree, which that one was interesting at the time because of their use of including inner staves. So they actually added extra staves into the barrel to, like I believe virgin oak staves to kind of like add.
Because I've had Spice Tree. I did a Compass Box stream before, but it was like the nowadays release.
Yeah, and so basically they did that for a couple of years, and SWA cracked down on that and said no, that's something you can't do. You can't add extra staves to the to the casks, and they got in a lot of trouble for that. They kind of went back and forth and fought that. And they actually had to discontinue in 2006 and rework the recipe and relaunched it in 2009 without that. And
so is that because it was not labeled as that, or is it because like in America, like
no, I mean Compass Box is very like open about this stuff.
Right.
They were advertising.
Well, I'm just saying like because Maker's Mart does that.
Yeah, exactly. It's big in the wine world, which it's a big thing that they do there, and so just. Scotch Whisky Association, they kind of like, they're not the most progressive when it comes to,
which in some ways, it could be good keeping the traditions, but
but so they got in a lot of trouble for that and had to rework the recipe and all that. And so, but what we are drinking right now is illegal whiskey as well, because we are drinking.
That would have been more clickbaity. I should have went with that. Illegal whiskey flight.
Yeah. Well, these two are, but so we got
that's definitely a different label.
This is a 2006 release of Compass Box Spice Tree, and we've also got some.
I don't think you guys can see that
of the current release as well.
I can't tell if they can see. That looks good. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Very, very. That's the one I'm familiar with.
Yes. So if you want to try these two.
Oh, so the second one is the current one. Correct. Oh, okay. Now I see why you said try them together. So they just remove that like virgin stave idea behind it?
I believe like maybe like some of the cask heads they might have altered a little bit, but it's not getting like as much of the touching as much of the area. Like
I see.
There was more whiskey, essentially touching the staves.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it does have like a very similar like backbone to it. Like I think there's like a lighter note that's very similar between them. I mean, as a bourbon fan, I do love a good like virgin oak like kind of note. I do on the nose at least. This one I haven't tried the current one yet. But well, what do you pick up between the differences?
I mean, well, here, why don't you try them?
Oh man, the new one's not nearly as good. That's a major difference.
Yeah,
right there, right?
It's definitely not.
That's so. Yeah, like I said, the backbone, like there's still like there is a similarity.
There's similarity, but there's I don't know if I should have actually asked them if I could have gotten details about the original one as far as like the age of the whiskeys and all that, because that is one thing that Compass Box does do. If you email them like asking them about one of their whiskeys, they'll give you all the information on it, even like some of the older stuff. But I know that like the current Spice Trees are around like 11 to 13 years old.
Okay.
But I mean, to me, like it just comes off like a little bit. it's harsher almost.
It's thin. The current one is thin. This one has that like richness that I think, I don't know what's giving it that.
Yeah.
But it has like so much more richness and depth to it. Proof wise, are they about the same?
They're both 46%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, I would guess that the original is higher proof.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. That blows my mind right there.
Yeah, the original is just fantastic.
Now, if they wanted to try to replicate this, could they at all?
No. I mean, that's the reason why. Yeah, they went away for a few years, and this is. I mean, I wouldn't say that this is a bad whiskey by any means, but it's
a pretty affordable-ish one.
It's gone up in price.
Okay.
Recently, I think it used to be like around like 40 or 50, but I think it's now closer to 70. Which
it's a really nice flavor. But after trying that one, I mean,
yeah,
especially if you were a fan of that one, then you bought this one, you'd be really disappointed.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So did you happen to try it before they did that, or did you buy this after the fact, like after all that went down?
Oh no, I only got into whiskey a few years ago, so it was long after this controversy.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but this is something.
So as you spent some money on, I mean, this tasting. I mean, I'm very thankful for you to provide these for me, because he did do this for our local group, and I posted on our Discord as well. And what was the price range for like the pours? So like, I
mean, everything altogether came out to about 110 person.
Yeah, and he's been doing these all throughout the pandemic, and like he's very fair. Like he's not like ripping us off, I promise.
Oh no, I mean,
yeah, he probably, and honestly, you probably lose money for the most part between these. But
it comes out about it.
But if y'all do want to know, I'm sure gonna do quite a few more in the future.
We'll see. I mean,
maybe. I'm trying to get them on my Discord. So if y'all want to see those, you can go to my Discord server, bourbonbites.com. You scroll to the bottom of that link tree. There is a link to the Discord. That's where I share all these things, like this tasting right here. You could have tried it with them last night, or you could have been trying it with us here today. So now that sounds rude. Like now you missed out. No, but I keep you guys updated to all future streams. If you're a patron of the show, I posted the schedule of all these guests coming up over the next 3 to 4 weeks. So if you're interested in seeing that and kind of planning around which streams you are able to make, patreon.com/bourbonbites. For as little as $2 a month, you can support the show. So anyway, so I had to do my little plug there. All right, let's move on to this one. So this one's Clynelish.
Yes.
Now, spoiler alert, I wasn't very familiar with this one. So no, is this one I tried before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before we went live, he gave me a pour of just the standard 14 year.
I have it. I didn't have that one. I have the like an independent bottling 8 year, but I feel like it's
more traditional.
It's very typical of like what you get.
Yeah, because I mean, you guys know, like I'm mostly bourbon, but like I love experimenting and trying scotches. So I'm like, I feel like it wasn't fair until I tried that.
I know you definitely have had experience with Clynelish before, just because they're used mostly in a lot of blends. They're like every Compass Box.
Well, as soon as I tried it, I'm like, why is this so familiar? And you said like they're using in blends. So
Compass Box especially, like I mean that Spice Tree definitely has Clynelish in there.
Okay.
Like every Compass Box has like a little bit of Clynelish at least. That's John Glazer is a big fan of them.
Gotcha. Donner Pat's Whiskey says, wow, that's a lot of glasses. Yeah, we have 7 in front of us here today. So we're trying to keep it to the full hour, but we'll see. I mean, we actually only have 4 left. So
yeah.
But cheers to you and cheers to Caleb. Thank y'all for tuning in this Saturday evening. I know Saturdays are getting a bit tougher for people to make, so I appreciate y'all tuning in. Anyone watching the replay, let us know in the comments below what your favorite from tonight's stream was, if you're watching the replay. But if you're here with us live, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. All right, so this one.
All right.
So do we? I guess I'll go ahead.
Yeah. So Clynelish, I'll give you a little bit of history. It was built in 1819. It was, predominantly, used in blends throughout all of its history. Really, it was the main component, like in Johnny Walker as well.
Okay.
In the 60s, like definitely saw like a big boom in whiskeys and blends, especially because that's essentially what there was at the time. Mm-hmm. And so because of that, they tried to increase capacity by actually building a duplicate distillery right next to Clynelish. So there was Clynelish A and B at the time, just to up the capacity.
So like 2 stills to like
a completely separate building. It's like right across the street essentially.
Oh, okay.
They were both called Clynelish. And then in 1967, Cooley, which was another big component of Johnny Walker, mm-hmm. they were shut down for a whole year. And so because of that, they actually took the original Clynelish building and altered the stills and everything to produce a peated blend. A peated malt.
Okay.
To produce, about like 30 to 35 ppm. And, eventually Cooley came back online, and they kind of toned down the amount of peat that they were putting out on there. And basically they kept the original distillery running up until the early 80s, when there was a big the 80s happened, right. In 1983 when that distillery shut down. So which this is what we are drinking today, is the original Clynelish, also known as Brora.
Wow, yeah, hold that up. So I was gonna say that to me this has like a dusty note to it. Like I haven't had much older scotches. I've had some older bourbons. So when was this released? 1982,
Brora, 19-year-old. Distilled June 1982, bottled December 2001. This is an independent bottling.
Okay.
It's sherry cask, made up of cask 1189 and 1192.
In 19 years. Sorry, I missed. When did you say it was bottled?
December 2001.
2001. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I could just tell in the nose. Like, it's weird that like both vintage scotches and vintage bourbons kind of have a similar aspect to them. A lot of people say with bourbon it's because back then they didn't have they didn't clean the pipes of the stills and stuff. I don't know how true that is. That's kind of what they said. But you did a full vintage flight with that group as well. Did you notice anything like? Wait, did I do that one? I think I did. No, I didn't do that.
You didn't do that.
I didn't do that one. But have you noticed like any kind of characteristics that you see across the board with like vintage? When I say vintage, I mean like vintage bottling.
I think there is some truth to that to an extent. I mean, especially like with the peated whiskeys, there's like a little bit more of like a softness to them. It's not quite as like harsh in your face, but
yeah, and it's hard to describe that note that I'm getting. It is like, okay, so when I say vintage, there's two different things I mean. Either like actual like dusty bottles.
Yeah.
But vintage also has like a tasting note, is like more of like I always say like an old library, or like not like a musty base, and that sounds bad, but like a kind of like old age, like leather, tobacco, like something about it, like that. That's what I should say is a vintage note. This has that.
Yeah. So I mean, this, I feel like that one of the distinct qualities of Brora that I always heard. This is something I wanted to try for a long time. It's basically on like the same level as Port Ellen, which you have tried. It's like they're both owned by Diageo, and they have like some special releases. So actually they stopped that a couple of years ago, but it's the distillery no longer exists. Although they did just reopen up Brora, they rebuilt it. And I believe last year they started producing whiskey again.
So it's going to be a while before we.
Could be a little bit, but
yeah. By the way, you mentioned Port Ellen. So the previous stream I had you on was the one we called the Hunt for Port Ellen.
Yeah.
Where he hid a very, very expensive. Like, how expensive was that bottle? It was like very expensive, right?
Yeah, it was. I mean, probably about like $800 or $900. Yeah.
So he hid it among a selection of whiskeys from like other high-end whiskeys, and then you threw in some like very affordable whiskeys.
There's Ardbeg 10 in there as well.
And I will say it did score pretty high.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
I was going to say unfortunately high, but it's still like, hey, at least I can get my hands on it.
Yeah.
Kyle Taylor in the house, by the way, welcome. I think it's the first time seeing you here. You say, I took a tour at New Year's at Clynelish. The new Brora distillery is like 100 feet away, about to open, and looks amazing. Is that Brora waxy like the Clynelish?
I feel like there is like.
Sorry, I clicked the wrong button. So.
But honestly, like it reminds me a lot of Springbank in a way. Like you've had a little bit of Springbank, but it has like a little bit like that farmy, grassy notes. The peat just comes off a little bit dirty. It's not like super heavily peated or anything.
Right.
This is towards the end of
on the nose. I didn't even know it was peated. Like that's how like light it was.
Yeah. This came out in 1982, which is a year before the distillery closed.
Right. And even saying peat, I mean, honestly, like I still wouldn't say like I would think like. We think about like how Johnny Walker Black is like has some peat like smokiness to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is that level of peatiness. I don't get too much like peat on this at all.
Yeah, I mean, also it's definitely like a Highland peat versus you're more familiar with like an Isla peat,
gotcha.
Which is two very different styles of peatiness. But yeah, no, this is you're saying as far as that Port Ellen bottle being expensive, this actually has that peat.
Oh no! Oh, wow. I mean, do you want to tell them? Do you feel comfortable telling them?
I mean, well, it's
you give them a range.
It's the reason why it's $110 tasting.
There you go.
I mean, there's a few of these that are up there, but this one.
Well, I'm saving. So I'm going to go back through and now that I know that, it's going to like kind of influence my decision. But I'm going to go back through at the end and say which one was my favorite. I was going to say before you told me that.
Yeah.
This and honestly that Spice Tree are the top
good.
So far.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to see where we go from here.
Yeah.
Donner Pass Whiskey says didn't realize until recently that Spice Tree was reformulated with different distilleries from its original Clynelish, Daluane, and Teenich version. Teenich, yeah. Yeah, I didn't either. Cool Running in the house. What's up, Cool Running? Good to see you. Thank y'all for tuning in. I think someone just ended their live stream, so thank y'all for tuning in. But this has been really fun so far. I'm excited for these next 3. Yeah. So what are we moving to now?
So now we're going on to Macallan.
Okay. So funny enough, I have not had much experience with Macallan, and I know it's a lot of people's like first like expensive Scotch they ever try. I think it's because I met you guys before I was even into Scotch. Y'all were like, for the most part, you're like,
oh, we're giving you some single cast,
right?
Or like some,
y'all are like, Macallan's fine, but like, have you tried this?
Yeah.
so I do not have too much experience with this. So this isn't my first. I definitely have had it before. I just can't place what I'm.
There are some. I mean, there's some really fantastic Macallans out there. Mm-hmm. It's just they come at a very high price,
right? So the price doesn't necessarily match up to the quality. I think that's what I've heard as well. They're not bad by any means. It's just like hype. I mean, it's basically like. I was gonna say if Buffalo Trace was actually available, I mean, because the Buffalo Trace could pull that move, right? They'd be like, oh, well, you can get Eagle Rare, but it's $100 a bottle. Like, it's like that, basically.
It's like Buffalo Trace at a shitty liquor store.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And you did say that, so Macallan's kind of known for like being kind of like a sherry bomb. I think I'm getting a ton of sherry.
Yeah, it's a Speyside whiskey sherry bomb. It's the typical, like, if you're familiar with Speysides, you kind of know what to expect.
Donnie's coming and saying, mash that like button on the way in. Yes, you guys, thank you. Please let us know if you want to see more of these. Like, this is definitely educational for me. Hopefully it is for you guys as well. So, I mean, you're the master of like all Scotch knowledge. I mean, you are to me. So from my level, like I can tell you some things about bourbon, but you can tell me all about Scotch. So, but yeah, thank y'all for the thumbs up on the way in. So I have not tried this yet. I do love the nose on this. I'm excited to try it.
Give this a taste.
Definitely a sherry bomb, but still light. It's not like an Abuna. Wait, no, Abuna.
Yeah,
it's not like that sherry. That's like
really. I mean, there's a 48%.
Right, I was like, that's cask strength too. Yeah.
Is there any interesting notes that you're picking up?
Oh, we're about to learn the twist. Okay, let's see. I mean, there's a bit of a spiciness that I don't really expect.
Yeah. So traditionally Macallan is completely unpeated, sherry bomb. This is Macallan Rare Cask Black, which is one of the,
hold that to the camera.
I believe, as far as I can find, like the only public release of peated Macallan.
Oh wow, it's peated?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That bottle looks sexy as hell.
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, you should feel this cork.
Oh my gosh.
Like this
thing
is,
wow, yeah.
That thing, you could
that is
knock somebody out with that.
So this one, now I'm gonna like look for that peatiness to it. It's definitely like a similar to that one. It's not like overwhelmingly peaty. But again, you said that's like the Highland peat versus Isle of peat. So I'm not familiar with. I guess I'm just not familiar with that.
I feel like Balvenie Peat Week's a good one to go to if you want to like familiarize yourself with Highland peats, or also Ardmore is another peated Highland.
Yeah, so I think the only thing I really noticed is kind of like peatiness to it. To me, being unfamiliar with that type of peat, is like right before the finish, there's like a hint of like a bit of ashy smoke.
Yeah, I was gonna say there. It's very ashy. Like that's more like what it comes off as. It's not like that, smoldering fire.
Right.
Like it's not like
what I'm
super,
used to, which I love. I love that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely different. Whiskey Third says had a chance to experience Macallan 25 at a wedding. I remember liking it pretty well. Yeah. So I mean, I've not had that one, but like you said, they're very good. They're just kind of overpriced.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like a $2,000 bottle.
Oh my gosh, they're very overpriced. And Kyle says Macallan is usually for me, anyways, an amazing nose and a meh taste, but I ain't never had a peated one. Wonder if it's the same feeling.
Yeah.
I do think I love the nose on this one though. I didn't get peat on it though.
Really? That's
really
interesting. I mean,
but again, I'm not familiar with that type of peat. The only peat I'm familiar with is Isle of peat.
Yeah.
So I would say there's a little bit of smokiness, but I think I wouldn't have picked up on it until I tasted it. So when I tasted it, I got that little bit of like ashy smoke at the end of it. It's good. I mean, I imagine this is a very expensive bottle too.
This was only available at duty free, I believe. I got this at auction for about like 300 pounds.
Gotcha. Okay, so not too bad.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you say that because So in terms of like duty free like Scotch releases, I've noticed like they all go for like the darker. Like I mean, there's the Talisker Dark Storm. It's like a very like duty free release, and then there's like I just got a Cuban Havana Club, and it's called like Dark and Storm, not Dark and Stormy. That's a cocktail, right? It's called, what is it called? Man, it's a peated. They use peated.
Oh, really?
So it's not peated. Sorry, let me. Oh, it is a still rum, but they used Isla Scotch Cask to age it. So it's called Dark and something. I'm planning to do a stream of that eventually. Yeah. I just think it's funny that all of the like releases that I've seen that are duty free have always been like dark, peaty. Like I'm wondering why. Is it just like test market stuff or like?
I have no idea. No.
That would be my guess, but I have no idea.
It's kind of hard to say. I don't know how much to sample up, but this is also very like.
Oh, that's the only one I finished.
Yeah, Macallan. They don't use any coloring. It's all, and this is all first fill sherry casks as well.
I don't think any of these look like they use any coloring, right?
The Cardhu possibly could be.
They're all pretty light. Just
I don't think. Compass Box definitely doesn't use any.
Right.
Yeah, Chieftains. I don't believe would be. But. Yeah.
I like that. It's not my favorite, but I do think I like that sherry. I appreciate the sherry aspect to it. So, well, now to say I've had Macallan. I'm pretty sure I've had it before, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
I know my friend Swan he bought one of the higher end ones from Total Wine because it was like they're trying to get rid of it. They had like one left, and like he bought it from us. I don't know which one that one was, but I think he may have sent me a sample. I just haven't tried it yet. So. Yeah. Kyle says, guys, I'll be honest, most of these bottles you're drinking cost more than the love seat you're on, and I'm digging it. Well, that's why he split it up. I mean, that's why, like, yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is, like, all these tastings I do, it's all bottles that, like, I've just always wanted to taste. Right. But, like, I would never buy it on my own.
Exactly. So he's able to split the cost between, like, all the people that are looking. How many people were there last night?
I mean, this one was a harder one to sell out just because it is a pricier one. Right. It's a semi-blind tasting.
And there's some people that'll just be like, yes, take my money. But there's also people that, and like, I was a little hesitant at first. I'm like, I'm not so familiar with these distilleries. So I feel like I wouldn't fully get the vibe out of it. But you were like, no, I think you would enjoy this. Yeah. So I'm glad I did because I'm enjoying it so far. We only got 2 left, but I'm enjoying the process so far.
So this one I know that you're familiar with, Cooley.
Yes.
It's an Isla whiskey. It's mostly it's used in a lot of blends, Compass Box included.
And I used to say I don't like it, but then I tried an actual like Clynelish release. I'm like, wait, I do like it. So I think I must have tried it in a blend that I didn't like that blend. So I just said I didn't like Clynelish. Yeah. But I revisited it on its own. I'm like, oh, I am actually quite a fan of that. So
I find that like actually the official bottlings of Clynelish, I'm not too crazy about. It's like a little too like soft for me most of the time. Like independent bottlings though, like of Clynelish are like really.
I just got a 9-year. I think Mission had a 9-year. Yeah. I just bought that one. I do like that one a lot. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not getting too much on the nose on it. I'm like, I mean, it's definitely more of the peat I'm familiar with, more of like the medicinal kind of peat, I think, on the nose. But I'm excited to try it. I do like that quite a bit. That's definitely higher proof too.
Yeah, this is 55%, I believe.
Okay. It's actually probably one of the highest proof, like, well, no, the one I got is at cask strength as well, I think. I was going to say, the only one I tried before that was just the standard bottling. I think it was like 46% or something like that. Yeah. But I like that little extra kick that it gives. Emily says, quick in, love, y'all. Hit the like. Love you too, Emily. Thanks for stopping in.
So what were you saying, though, about the peat?
I don't remember. Let me see. I said it was. Well, I was saying on the nose, it was like a little more medicinal, kind of like a little Freud or something. But it does feel like this one actually feels like it has something different about it. Like I'm excited to see what we're about to say because something's a little different.
Because this is actually a 17-year unpeated Clynelish.
Wait, that's how you asked that. What? Yeah. I was like, I was going to say thin. I didn't want to say thin because I feel like that sounded rude. But there's like something missing.
So there's
I was going to say something's missing.
There's no peat.
Wow.
So I was just biting my tongue as you were saying.
I mean, I said it on the nose. I said it on the nose. That's why I forgot when I taste something. Like, wait, Pete. I don't know. No, I'm not gonna act like I didn't know. I definitely didn't know that. Wow. Okay. It is, but it's a little. There's something smoky, a little like medicinal in the nose. Maybe I'm misinterpreting medicinal.
Yeah, I mean, or possibly you're picking up some of that distillery characteristic that you associate with it that you just automatically associate with it being peaty. Like you've
Yeah.
had multiple Clynelish, and you like maybe some of those malty notes you like always kind of like associate.
I've always thought was peat.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, I see Fred's in the chat. So Fred was part of your tasting last night. He says, "Uh-oh," and Whiskey Third as well. So I guess Whiskey Third is probably someone that was there last night too. Now, Whiskey Third, if you're one of our local group, whatever, like tell us your name so he knows who you are. But the way that you guys are reacting makes me think y'all were part of it. Fred says, "It's okay. I got peat on that one too, and I'd never had Clynelish." Oh, yeah. Maybe it's just like what we associate, what we think is peat.
This is also, everything else before this. The highest before this was the Macallan, which was 48%. So this is 55.9%. So
I love the proof on it. I think the proof really complements it. When I feel like, okay, I'll be honest, what I was originally interpreted as like thinness, and I did say I feel like it was like missing something, but I didn't want to say that before you told me that. I didn't want to be like, you're like, oh no, this is like a very it's not like very exclusive, but very exclusive, like perfect edition of it. It is. What do you think of it? The better question, what do you think about it?
I mean, I love this. Actually, I have another bottle of because this was a series that they did every year for a few years. I think 2017 was the last year that they did it. This one's from 2015. I have a 15-year-old unpeated as well, and actually I prefer this way more than that one, because that one I found like a little too spicy almost, a little just kind of a little stringent. This one, like I think there's like some cherry cask in here that like really kind of rounds it out, and adds a little bit of sweetness to it.
It kind of reminds me. Okay, you probably don't remember either. You and I went to a tasting together in person somewhere pre-pandemic.
I remember that, yeah.
There was one that we tried that was very, very similar to this. I don't think it was Clynelish. It could have been Clynelish. It may have been. It was because it was an independent bottler, I think.
Yeah. No, it was a tasting of like independent bottling. I mean, that was the one where we tried that one.
That popcorn. Was it the popcorn one?
Yeah. The burnt popcorn. That just the most sulfury whiskey I've ever experienced.
That was so weird. But no, there was one, and you know what? It probably was Clynelish, because I'm like, this tastes so familiar to.
There was a Clynelish in there, I believe. Yeah.
But that's really interesting. Okay, it may be a new favorite. I like that a lot. It's so interesting and unique that I think that's a special pour. Fred said I went back to it after and got smoke again. So he's like, what the hell? Very confused.
Peat doesn't always equal smoke.
Right.
I've gotten like some smoke from like completely unpeated whiskeys that are like like heavy sherry cask influence. Like you kind of get it from like the toastiness of like the cask. Yeah.
So with my limited experience with peat, like usually I categorize it maybe 4 different ways of like the type of peat that I get. There's either the meaty kind of peat that I think like Ardbeg.
Yeah.
There's the briny kind of like sea salt air peat.
Talisker,
Lagavulin, like I get that.
Yeah.
Then there's the medicinal that I would say like Burning Hospital, which is like the Lefroy kind of peat. And then there's another one that's just that ashy smokiness.
Yeah,
that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
would Clynelish typically? Okay, those are very broad categories. Where would Clynelish land?
I mean, for me personally, like I usually find kind of like, especially like in independent bottlings, like a little bit more of like a meatiness to it.
Okay, so leaning kind of similar to Ardbeg with that.
Yeah. And so it's definitely softer than Ardbeg. I don't think it's as heavily peated as Ardbeg is.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
And Donnie, I'm not sure if you missed it. So typically Clynelish is peated, but he has an unpeated release of it. So it's really weird to try something like that. Like it's definitely. And then Fred says, except when it isn't. So that's crazy. So you said they stopped that back in like 2017, you think?
Yeah, 2017, I think was the last annual release that they did of it.
Oh man, that's so good. I like it.
You still see it popping up every now and then. I think it was like a year and a half ago. When I got the 15-year one. So you can still find them here and there. And I think at auction I got this for about 70 pounds.
Oh, okay.
So this wasn't this wasn't too crazy to find.
And so you've mentioned that before, like what you and a few other guys in our group do is buy at auction and have shipped from
the UK. Yeah, no, it's a very dangerous path.
but it ends up being decently affordable for what you're doing. I mean, even like you guys had some Blantons that you guys have bought straight from the barrel.
Oh yeah.
Similar thing, right? You bought it at auction and had shipped.
And like including shipping, it's about like $200. It's less than
like straight from the barrel. Yeah. Like holy crap. So that's way too complicated for me. Like if I ever want anything, I would want you to be like, hey Clifton, would you pay this for that? And I'll have to tell you yes or no.
Yeah.
So, but like, I mean, I think it's really cool. I think like workarounds like that are like sometimes the way you have to go with some of these things.
Yeah. And I mean, especially there's, a a lot of like releases that were never released here,
Mm-hmm.
and that even straight from the barrel, you can't even get that here,
right?
Like, so there's.
You either fly out there and you get it on your travels, or you just
exactly. And so it's a lot of times like cheaper to go that route than some of the online retailers that add like a massive upcharge. Like there's a lot of Japanese whiskeys actually that have gone at auction, like distillery exclusives and stuff that the only like online retailers that will ship here are charging crazy inflated prices.
And then you have to be careful. There's so many scammers out there too. Like you guys, like if you guys ever see like Blanton's advertised on a website, like check with one of your other like whiskey friends, like just run it by them, because I mean we had an incident in our group when everyone was kind of going crazy for the what do they call it? The advent calendars.
Oh yeah.
And someone was like, oh my gosh, guys, like there's a few of these left of this one, which was like, it wasn't even like overpriced or underpriced. It was like actually what it should have cost.
Yeah.
But it was something that had sold out. So I went to it and I was very excited first. I was like, oh my God, that actually looks amazing. But then you look at the URL and you look at something like some things aren't adding up, and you're like, hey, wait, hold on, pause. Like, don't give them your credit card info. So just be very cautious. There's a lot of that on the internet, mostly with bourbon. I don't know, maybe with some Scotch releases too, but I think the bourbon market is it's filled with tons of scammers on the internet.
Yeah.
So be careful, guys. Be vigilant.
All right, should we go to the last one?
Yeah, let's go to the last one. Cooley. Right. Okay.
So this is Cooley. This is an Irish distillery. I believe they opened in 1987. They put out releases of Connemara, which is actually a peated.
Mm-hmm. I did that on my St. Patrick's Day stream last month. I had it for the first time.
Yeah.
I actually liked it. I think it kind of combined two things I really like, which is the peatiness and the kind of like dessertiness of Irish whiskey. It was just a standard release, though. I think they have a aged data one that I've heard is better.
Yeah, I've only actually tried Connemara like in independent bottling.
Okay.
So I actually haven't even tried the official release.
This was just on the shelf. It's like $45.
This is an independent bottling. I believe it is peated, so I think this could be Connemara. This one I'm going to give you everything up front. It's an 11-year-old. Peated, 53.4%. I'm Cooley from Cadenhead. Here, why don't you give it a taste?
Oh yeah.
Let you figure out if you can. Let you see if you can figure out what the twist is here.
Ooh. I don't know what it is, but I like it. So it's so in terms of cask strength, I can tell you this. Yeah. Yeah, they can see.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Unless my quality's got bad again, but it looks good now.
11-year-old whiskey.
So okay, with cask strength, I'm assuming this cask strength is high.
Yeah, 53.4.
53. So my only experience with cask strength Irish is either Red Breast 12
cask strength
or Blue Spot. Those are the only cask strength Irish I think I've had, at least in recent times. This though, I mean, only being 53%, this drink's hot. I mean, like in a good way. I love that high proof. Now, twist wise.
So I'll give you a hint. This, as I said, it's an 11-year-old. It was distilled in 1982, bottled in 2019.
Oh wow. Okay. So wait, hold on. That's a year younger than me, or a year older than me. 2019. That was what, 3 years ago?
So,
oh my gosh.
So the interesting thing with Irish whiskey is the age that they put on the bottle has to be the amount of time it spent aging in Ireland. And so it spent 11 years aging in Ireland and then 16 years aging in Scotland.
I completely missed that you said it was, because you said it was 11 years old earlier. And I was like, okay, I was like math in my, like, the meme of like the girl with the math. This isn't adding up in my head. But wow.
So this is actually a 27-year-old whiskey.
So you said that, like you said, that the age they put on it is age that it aged in Ireland. So was it shipped to the U.S.?
No, it spent 16 years in Scotland.
Okay.
Cadenhead is based out of Campbelltown. Actually, it's the same owners as Springbank.
Okay.
So aged there in their warehouses for 16 more years. I think it was it Cadenhead that did had a bunch of those Heaven Hill releases.
I was going to say this is very similar with what happened with Single Cask Nations. Heaven Hill bottling that was last year or the year before last.
Yeah, there were like a few different bottlers, Scotch bottlers.
So that one, so it was a 24-year-old Heaven Hill pre-fire bourbon. So I did a whole review of it over on YouTube. Check it out in my history. But the weird thing about that one was it was aged 12 years in the U.S. Shipped to Scotland and aged an additional 12 years.
Yeah.
So if you're not aware, the climate is so different between Kentucky and like where it ages in Scotland. So Kentucky, it was taking in that like intense heat, that cooling, like the very not rapid aging, but like comparatively.
Yeah.
So when it went to Scotland, it kind of like, it wasn't like a 24-year-old bourbon. So you think 24-year-old bourbon, over oaky, like over the top, like just like blood, like tar.
Yeah.
This wasn't that though. So this is so interesting. Well,
yeah.
But Scotland and Ireland's going to be pretty similar.
It's pretty similar climate.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's not exactly the same situation. But,
no.
Wow, this is so good. And I will say, this is not the first time you've tricked me about a very old aged Irish.
Oh yeah.
So previously he did a flight. It was one of the first tastings.
It was actually the first tasting.
You did. It was a Scotch flight. It was all like Scotch, and there was one that we all tried. And we all had the same reaction. We were like, "What the hell is this?" We said, "What is it? Cabbage?" Or we said there's like a weird note that we had on it. Turns out that was Redbreast 27-year-old, which we got him as a gift for the birth of his son.
Yeah.
So I was. And I revisited my little bit that I had left, or either you gave me another sample or something like that. I revisited it. I did like it more than that time, but still I didn't. There's
an interesting note, especially I think with Redbreast and like because this is a malt. This is a Irish single malt, so like it's a little bit different than the pot still, traditional Irish pot still, which is like Redbreast.
For someone like me, what is the difference?
It's basically it's not a malt. It's like a grain through a pot still. I mean, there's like possibly some malt in there. But,
so it's not like a pure 100%.
No,
I almost said pure malt. Sorry.
But
okay, I gotcha. So it's like a different like mash.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. But they're still doing through pot still and all that. But so it's definitely a different style of whiskey. But with the Redbreast, I find that like because I got similar notes in like the 21 year as well. I think I remember you mentioning that too.
When we tried the 20,
you have a bottle. I got you a bottle of the 21 year.
The 21. Oh yeah. I still have that somewhere. I haven't visited in a while, but I had it for that flight where I did the stream. So you're right. It did hint towards that in the 21 year, but the 27 year it dominated, and I honestly didn't love that. Now you obviously like it a lot.
Yeah, I do like the bottle. I mean, it's not necessarily my favorite Irish whiskey. I don't know if I like personally would pay the the price. I mean, I'm super grateful.
Well, but it's funny because it's kind of the reverse of what you're doing here. We all chipped in, so we all didn't. It's not just one person bought that. We all chipped in, like only like $20 each, and so it worked out. Yeah. So and we all got to try it too, which was very awesome.
It's the whole thing with that. I mean, the whole reason why I started doing these tastings, like that first tasting I did was because you guys had gifted me that bottle, and like the pandemic happened. Like I normally like we have these meetups and everything.
Well, that was right before. So when was your son born?
It was June 2020.
June 2020. So right after it all happened.
And so like normally I would have brought that to a meetup and we have opened it together and tasted together. And so since that wasn't going to happen, I was like, how do I do put together tasting and include that in there? And I genuinely wasn't like trying to like fool you guys or anything. Like I was just trying to like share this bottle. And,
no, it was just so funny. Like once that reveal that we should have recorded that moment.
I recorded
you recorded it.
Okay. I have it.
You should send me that. Maybe I'll post on Patreon.
I'll send it to you.
That was awesome. All right, so we tried through all 7 of these. Okay, now time to pick my favorites. I tried to save a little. I kind of messed up with this one.
So I mean, it seems like you were saying that you weren't too crazy about it, but you definitely went through that one.
I did. Okay, let me. So for those of you that stuck around, which of these was the biggest surprise to you? Which is the one that you're most like curious about or whatever? Like you would want to try. Just curious what you guys like that may be more experienced with this, or Fred, if you're still here. Fred, what was your biggest surprise? Or if you happen to remember.
I mean, for me, I already told you that I mean, knowing what these all were, like the Cardhu was like
went back to that one.
The biggest surprise for me, just because like of how much I enjoyed it, because I was like, honestly expecting it to be terrible.
Well, okay, I will say this. Going back to it, I was like, let me try the one that I think was my least favorite, and I tried that first. I'm like, wait, no, I like that a lot. So I'm actually that's not going to be my. I'm not going to rank, and there's no point in ranking these. I'm just curious to see which ones are my favorite.
I mean, for me, like personally, I really enjoyed all of these. I'm like really happy. I feel like I got lucky with because I hadn't tasted all these when I bought them. I was just kind of like doing my research and stuff. But the Cardhu is definitely like my least favorite of the bunch, but it's not that.
Well, I'm also trying the current day compass box.
Current day compass box actually might be my least.
Yeah,
favorite.
I think there's similar, but that's like the Cardhu definitely beats that one.
Yeah.
Well, so you did this last night with our local group. Were there any like memorable moments? Like, what was like the most surprising? Did they all like react weirdly about something, or
not necessarily? It was pretty much like how how it was with you. Although there were a few people who kind of like messaged me on the side when we were tasting the Macallan. I was like, does Macallan normally have peat in it? Like, is that like?
I definitely didn't pick up on that.
Yeah. A couple of people definitely did, and were a little confused by it. But
yeah, the Macallan's still not my favorite. Just my experience with it. I like the Clynelish a good bit more than the Macallan.
Yeah, the Brora.
I think what is it?
It's Brora. I mean,
Brora.
Originally, I did want to because there is original Clynelish, in like from like early 60s. There's a single malt release that is essentially Brora, but because before the current Clynelish was built, I wanted to include that in here, but this would have been a $200 tasting easily if that were the case. This I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but this was. They say that this was an $1,100 bottle.
Oh.
Yeah.
You didn't say the number, but now I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was, which one was that one? Sorry, that was the Clynelish.
The Clynelish, yeah.
So if I were to rate these, I mean, which again, it's hard to do, but based on my experience tonight, my favorite was the Cooley. I thought that was delicious.
It's fantastic.
That's delicious. I think second favorite, honestly, I'm going to say the Clynelish. That was my second favorite for sure. And then I would say Kalila was my next. Then probably the old compass box. Then Cardhu, then Macallan. That's just my order, but I know I'm not like the average person out there.
For me, actually, I really like the Macallan. Like for me, it was Brora. It's actually tough between the Macallan and the Cooley.
Well, also to be fair, that was the only one that I couldn't go back to because I finished it. So
if you want a little
just
bit
a little
more,
splash. I hate that I said that like last.
Yeah, no.
But again, I'm not familiar with Macallan. It's definitely different from what I'm used to. So
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then Fred says the Cardhu was a shock for me too. Really enjoyed it. It was crazy how big of a difference there was between the spice trees. Yeah. Yeah. Completely shocked. They're so different. The OG is like so much better. And then he said I was super thrown off by the peat and Macallan. I thought it was stuck on my palate from the Brora. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely surprising. Yeah. But I mean, it's funny. The only Scotch I used to like originally was sherry bombs, and I think you guys have like
that's kind of like the intro with
the Scotch big bold flavors. I mean, y'all fucked me up with Octomore, my first tasting with you guys. Yeah, but so that was like Octomore and then sherry bombs. So that was my intro into Scotch, really, which is like so different than most people. But I think with time, I've learned to appreciate some of these more nuanced flavors that these other ones are giving me.
I mean, Octomore is also one of those examples that, peatiness doesn't necessarily equate to smokiness. Because I wouldn't say that Octomore is like one of the smokier whiskeys, even though it's like...
I actually don't think I've had it since Blackguard. That's not Octomore.
No.
Okay. I haven't had Octomore. I've probably had it since then, but like not in like 3 years or so.
I mean, I'm positive you've had it at like some of our meetups.
I mean, I've seen it on the table, but I've been scared from it. So maybe I haven't tried it. I don't know.
We gotta fix that then.
maybe next one.
Yeah.
I will say I'm coming more around to the Macallan now that I revisit it. Like I said, I revisited everything else except that one. So
yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to like sway your opinion.
And I just said that based on experience. So I think it's still not my favorite. But maybe I would put it above the previous compass box. So wherever that was, I think that was like third or fourth.
Yeah.
I'll put this above that one. So yeah. But very, very good. These are very cool. So I don't know what I was gonna ask you. I was like, I was going to interview mode, but I don't know what I'm gonna ask you. Well, did you enjoy doing this? Like now that you bought these bottles and you put a lot of money into them, do you feel like you got your money's worth and just the experience and
trying? I mean, I'm definitely not upset with how much of the Brora I've got like a good chunk of the Brora left. So I'm not too upset with that. And
you said the biggest shock to you was how much you like the Cardhu.
Yeah, the Cardhu, and like it was just exciting to up there with Port Ellen was Brora. I'd always wanted to try a Brora, so like this was my excuse to get that in there. And like I said, like all of these the last tasting we did that you weren't there for was a 70s one, which I was like the whole thing. Like I really wanted to try a 70s Ardbeg, and so we did that.
Why do I feel like I did that? I didn't do it, did I?
Yeah, no. I gave you a sample of the
the Old Grandad. I still have that.
Yeah.
Why do I feel like I've had? Are you sure I didn't do that one?
You definitely didn't.
Have you thrown in some of the vintage Ardbeg in a previous flight? Maybe
not old Ardbeg. Yeah, that's the only time I've tried like.
Wait, you know what I'm thinking? I'm sorry, I'm going to confuse the classic Lottie. You had a vintage classic Lottie.
That's right. So we also did. So we were like a last minute tasting. I kind of threw together. I can't remember the reason why I threw. Oh, I think some of the bottles for like one of the tastings I was doing got like delayed, and so I quickly
gotcha.
You helped me out with it actually. Mm-hmm. We did like a like an old versus new mini flight where we tried.
That's what I was thinking of. Okay,
we tried like Dusty Jim Beam with one of your Jim Beam decanters with like new Jim Beam, and I had like an Brook Lottie 12-year-old from like the early 90s, and we compared that with classic Lottie.
That's what.
And then there was a Lefroy quarter cask from 2005 that we tried next to the current.
Those were so different. Yeah, so different. We didn't do a stream for that one. We should have.
Yeah, that would have been actually pretty interesting.
But very cool. Well, I see Mike Myers just tuned in, or Mike Myers, sorry. Mike Myers just tuned in. I know I messed that. Everyone messes that up. But if you want to watch the replay, these were really, really exciting. So if you missed them, definitely go back and watch the replay. I was so excited to have the opportunity to try these. Definitely was shocked by at least half of them. So that's very cool. So you guys can go follow him on Instagram at the Neck Pour. You said you're gonna start using it a bit more.
Yeah, I've been a little like spotty with it, but
the link is down in the description below to follow him. Make sure to check out my podcast that came out yesterday. I did a blind flight provided to us by our other friend Aaron Artino. And that was surprising. Did you listen to that yet?
I haven't had a chance to listen to it, but he told me all about it.
I told you about it. Okay, so I won't spoil it for you guys, but there was a very, very April Fool's-y twist at the end of that one. So check that out. This coming Thursday, I'm live with. Is that Milk and Honey? Hold on.
Honey, yeah.
Is it Milk and Honey?
Yeah.
Okay.
You told me. Yeah.
So I'm live next Thursday with Milk and Honey. We're doing both their core lineup. They gave me a few special pours, and then you actually gave me a few surprise pours that I'm going to surprise them with. So that should be a lot of fun. So make sure to tune in that next Thursday. Actually, wait, hold on. What is next Thursday? The 7th? Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. You know what? I need an assistant. So, okay, cool. I was just making sure because the following Thursday I'm doing a Matt Madness training flight because I'm competing on the 15th.
Oh,
so for the next round, we'll see. I think I'll go into the semifinals if I win this time. So, thank you so much, Fred says. I really hope you do another tasting. Had a ton of fun. Yeah, Fred, welcome to our local group. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Whiskey Third, good to see you as well. And anyone catching the replay, I know Saturdays aren't my normal time, so I know a lot of you may have missed this, but hope you had fun. Leave a comment below of the one that you think is the most interesting of this flight. I'll put time codes in the description to skip around if you're watching the replay. But thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, Aaron, so much for hosting this. And I hope to see you guys. I hope to see you back soon for some kind of local meetup here soon. All right. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Bye.